Hi guys, here is lesson 96. It is called Geometric Measures with Radicals. If you remember, a radical is a number with a square root sign. So a radical could be the square root of 4, or the square root of 3, or 2 times the square root of 2, anything with the square root sign and a number. So we have multiplied radicals before. If we take the square root of 3 and multiply it by the square root of 3, we get the square root of 9, which we can simplify to plain old 3. We've also multiplied things like 2 times the square root of 6 times the square root of 2. We can only multiply like terms. So this would be 2 times the square root of 6 times the square root of 2, which is 12. And then I have to simplify that. So when I simplify the square root of 12, I can prime factor and get 4 and 3 and 2 and 2. So if I rewrite this, I would get 2 times the square root of 2 times 2 times 3. Here I look for my pairs. The square root of 2 times the square root of 2 is the square root of 4. The square root of 3 comes along for the ride, and the 2 comes along for the ride. I'm multiplying all of these, right? The 2 is plain old 2. The square root of 4 is 2, so this is 2 times 2. And the square root of 3, sorry I ran out of room, is the square root of 3. So 2 times 2 is 4, and the square root of 3 comes along for the ride. So 2 times the square root of 12 simplifies into 4 times the square root of 3. Today we're going to use radicals to find perimeters and side lengths. So here if we look at the square, it has a side length of the square root of 5. So if you remember, to find the perimeter of a rectangle, we just add up all the sides. So my perimeter is the square root of 5 plus the square root of 5 plus the square root of 5 plus the square root of 5. Right? How did I get 4 square roots of 5 there? Because there are 4 sides and they are all the square root of 5. So my final answer here would be 4 square root 5. This is like combining like terms, right? Here is 1 square root of 5. That would be 2 square roots of 5. This would be 3 square roots of 5. And this would be 4 square roots of 5. So my perimeter would be 4 square root of 5 and whatever my units are. All right, let's try another one like that. All right, let's say I had a rectangle and I have 2 times the square root of 2 and 3 times the square root of 2. So how would I find my perimeter for this rectangle? Well, these 2 sides are both 2 square root of 2, and these 2 sides are both 3 square roots of 2. All right, so again, combining like terms, they all have square root of 2, which we're going to treat like our variable. So if we have 2 square roots of 2 plus 2 square roots of 2, that would be 4 square root 2, plus 3 square roots of 2 would be 7, plus 3 would be 10. So my perimeter here would be 10 square root of 2 units. All right, combining like terms. All right, the other way you might see this used in this lesson is to find the perimeter of a triangle. So here, let's say we have 2 and we have the square root of 5. This is a right triangle. If they ask us to find the perimeter, well, I know that perimeter means the distance around the outside of a shape. So I need to find this length here. If you'll remember, this length is called the hypotenuse. The hypotenuse is always opposite from the 90-degree angle. Anytime we see a right triangle, we're going to use Pythagorean theorem. So first we're going to start with our Pythagorean theorem. A squared plus b squared equals c squared. The hypotenuse is always c. So I'm trying to solve for the c squared here. So a is 2 squared. B is the square root of 5 squared. And I'm solving for c squared. 2 squared is 4. The square root of 5 squared, think about it, If I square something, I'm multiplying it by itself. So the square root of 5 times the square root of 5 is the square root of 25. And we all know that the square root of 25 is plain old 5. So this is 4 plus 5 equals c squared. All right, 4 plus 5 is 9. So 9 equals c squared. How do I undo a square? I take the square root. The square root of c squared is just c, and the square root of 9 is 3. So my missing side length here is 3. So now if I want to find the perimeter of this triangle, I'm going to add up all the sides. So I have 2 plus 3 plus the square root of 5. Again, this is combining like terms. So here's a number and here's a number. I can't just add the square root of 5 to it because that's a really ugly number. That's a really long decimal. So 2 plus 3 is 5. So for my final answer, I'm going to say 5 plus the square root of 5 units is the perimeter of this triangle. All right, let's do, actually we're going to call that good. There are a few more examples in the practice set on page 642 if you would like to go over those.